Bengals legend Willie Anderson is here to talk about his academy. Yes, he's coming to town next week. Plus, thoughts on Jonah Williams. Really good insight on him. Lel Collins in the video that went viral on Wednesday, and so much more, including Joey B and the Bengals Ring of Honor. You're not going to want to miss this. We've had plenty of long-form interviews recently, but this one was really, really exciting. By the way, I'm James Rapien, and this is Cincinnati Bengals Talk. Let's get to Willie Anderson. It's time to welcome in Bengals legend Willie Anderson, and he's going to be in town next week with really a really cool event where he's helping young offensive linemen in the area. He's going to be at Lakota East High School, and I want to get more on that as well, and there's a link in the description. But Willie, I appreciate you coming on. I know you've been doing a lot of these, but I know a lot of Bengals fans are going to be excited to hear you're back in town next week.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. But I come in town a lot and work with players up there in the area. It's just the last 5 or 6 years of doing my academy, doing our camps is a way to get around the country and see more players. I've been having people since COVID ask me to travel, and sometimes I travel, sometimes I don't. But I think doing these camps are a way to get more knowledge and more of our teaching out there throughout the country, similar to what the quarterbacks are doing. You see my ex-teammate Jordan Palmer is around the country doing the same thing with quarterbacks. So I think for the linemen, if you kind of look what Jordan and those guys are doing with the quarterbacks and receivers, he and TJ, we're doing the same thing with linemen and teaching the linemen at that 8th grade through 12th grade level in the form of 2-day camps. It's not a babysitting camp. It's not one of those camps where the current NFL players throw a community camp. It's not those kind of camps. It's a camp when you come to work, learn, get taught. We're doing film work. We're doing weight room stuff. We're teaching everything that I think a complete lineman should be at a camp. Because most times at a camp, you don't really get that. You go to these camps and you're doing these one-on-one battles. And I don't think the linemen ever really learn a lot of things like that, because you see more and more times the high school offensive linemen getting their butt whipped at these camps. And it's because they're not working on the skills that I think of pass protection and one-on-ones that most guys don't train that. Well, at my academy, we train that specifically with our high school kids, and we've been averaging about 7 to 12 high school kids a year get scholarships. And the way to get scholarships is one, having the grades, size, good character, and everything. But when you go to these college camps, the college camps start in June. When you go to these camps, you're asked to perform certain feats. And a big thing at those camps are the one-on-ones, your ability to run, move, lift weights. And so at my camps, we're going to prepare high school offensive linemen for those college camps.
And it is the Willie Anderson Lineman Academy Summit. Like I said, it's at Lakota East High School next Tuesday and Wednesday, May 30th and 31st from 4:30 to 8. And like I said, you can click the link here or I'll make sure I tweet out a link, and it's in the description as well if you're watching on YouTube. Willie, it's interesting. You bring up the linemen, and you've been training linemen, and offensive line in town has been such a topic, as I'm sure you're well aware of, given the past couple of years in the Bengals offense. And last year they get hurt at just the wrong time. Lel goes down on Christmas Eve, and that kind of started a ripple effect where you lose Jonah Williams, you lose Alex Kappa. They're playing with 3 backups. This offseason they added Orlando Brown Jr. There's still a question mark at right tackle, but how do you feel overall about the Bengals offensive line? Because it seems like it's a never-ending topic for people like me that are talking and covering the team.
Well, Andrew Whitworth and Levi Jones, now we always joked about how we thought playing offensive tackle for the Bengals is one of the hardest jobs in the NFL, especially when you have a high-level quarterback. We had a high-level guy in Carson. They have one now in Joe. So the fans, organizations, everybody across the world are expecting you to protect that guy. And I'm sure Anthony and those guys felt the same way when they had Boomer, who was a league MVP. So we've had the history of having pretty great quarterbacks with Kenny Anderson and Boomer and all these guys, and Carson, now Joe Burrow, should be the face of the league. That's a hard topic for a lineman, a hard task for a lineman. Hey, it's our job, and everyone in Bengal Nation is trusting us to keep these guys clean. So, I think right now, they have a good problem. They're loaded right now with talent, And I think it's more now of, does a guy like Jonah want to come over and play right tackle? I think we saw on Instagram yesterday, Lyle is ahead of schedule. I mean, if he's ahead of schedule, here's a guy who's a Pro Bowl player at that position. It's not a position he has to relearn or anything like that. So it's gonna be very interesting. I think I've been hearing Jackson Carman is gonna be vying for the spot too. But you got 3 good guys right there that are very competitive, that have played some high level football. And it's gonna be interesting, and I think with Jonah's proven his point that he's a solid offensive lineman who's played in a great deal of games for the Bengals and gave his heart to the Bengals. Now is he going to want to have the mindset to come over and play right tackle? And I was telling somebody earlier that it's not as easy as people think, just switching spots, because you're not changing one side of your body to the other side, your dominant side. So for years at left tackle, Jonah's dominant side has been his right leg, right foot. So now changing his positions, he got to change over now to his left leg at right tackle, and that's a huge difference change. I think, but I think the more reps he get at it, the better. But I've been hearing, I don't know if he's in camp right now to get those valuable reps. So it'll be very interesting to see how everything goes at that spot right there.
Yeah, I think a couple of things. One, didn't you play left tackle when you were a rookie?
I came in as a left tackle, yes. Yes.
So you know firsthand how it is to switch sides. And Jonah is rehabbing. He had a knee procedure to help alleviate the potential of a dislocated kneecap, which he dealt with last year and played through. Yeah, I think it's interesting because you mentioned the Lael video, and it's like, whoo, he looks like he's ahead of schedule, and I think he would be their right tackle had he not gotten injured. I don't think this would even be really a question, even with the addition of Orlando Brown Jr. I think they would have said, oh, well, we have our guy heal up, because he played through multiple issues last year. He had an ankle issue, a back injury. And so, I think that's a huge question mark. But you're right. At least there's multiple names. And in past years, it was like late round draft picks that were unproven. Well, Jonah Williams is proven. He might not be an all-pro, but he's proven.
Yes.
Well, same thing. So you're dealing with proven commodities, and then a young guy in Jackson Carman who does seem to be in better shape this year than past seasons.
Yeah, so those are all good things, man. Even Lyle, his video set the internet on fire in Bengals Nation. Everybody was happy. You know what I mean? That's good to see, man. So it's just gonna be, a guy like Jonah, who, like I said, who's been through the wars, had his up and downs, but he's done a lot for the organization. It's gonna be about, if he wants to do that. I mean, I think we're all kind of waiting to see what's gonna happen. I think he has to be at the mandatory mini camps. I think we'll get a chance to see then, his mindset and his ability to want to be at that position. So going forward, I think it's a good thing to have. I think eventually that spot has to get settled out and see who's going to be that guy. I think once that happens, I think a lot more things will start falling into place of who's going to be here and who's not going to be there.
It's the Willie Anderson Lineman Academy Summit coming to Lakota East High School May 30th and 31st. Make sure you sign up today. Let's you mentioned Joe Burrow and in the great quarterbacks and the legacy that the Bengals have had. And you were on the team when Boomer came back for a year. And I know it was brief, and I know that was kind of an awkward situation with Jeff Blake in town as well, because he had kind of emerged as the guy, and then there were questions. They bring in Boomer for a year. But you've at least seen Boomer, even if it was his last season. You were obviously blocking for Carson for quite some time. What stands out about Joe Burrow to you from afar? Obviously, you're not in the locker room with him every day, but he's taken this organization to heights that I'm not sure anyone expected this early in his career.
Well, I got a chance to talk to Joe. There's a picture I have on my Instagram of us last year at training camp. We were riding the famous golf cart around, And he stopped and started talking to me. And I said, man, I want to thank you as a lineman, as a former lineman, as a lineman. I said, how you handle yourself during the games with your linemen. Because as offensive linemen, like, we always look to see which quarterback is really cool with his guys, which offensive linemen really ride with their quarterback. And sometimes, so I learned this from Boomer, and when Boomer was a backup quarterback, he still acted as a starter. He would ask questions. He would support Jeff Blake. He would support us. He would be having after the game parties at his house over in Kentucky. Just the lineman got his food and got some beers over there after the game with the lineman. He was doing all the things that made him a guy that everyone liked. And Jeff Blake was the same way. But I learned from Boomer that even when you're down, you still want to be that guy, that leader. And once he took over the spot, the lineman never wanted to be the guy that got Boomer hit. Because he was doing so many good things. So I remember after the Cowboys game, he started the Dallas Cowboys game. We beat Dallas that year. He came in and gave like every starter like $1,500. And I remember walking to Spinning Field and somebody said, "Man, Boomer's trying to find you." Like, for what? So he got something for you. And so I was the first round pick the year before, so I took my money and gave it to my backup. I split it with my backup. But I told Joe, I said, "Man, I saw things that you were getting. You went through a beating the previous year, and I've never seen you get up one time and shame your lineman. Never seen you get up and throw the ball down at them, dog cuss them out. Because we're in a position where everyone's always dog cussing us out anyway. You know what I mean? It could be your O-line coach, it could be the fans who don't understand that wasn't my sack, that was on the quarterback. And the fans think you get him killed. It was the QB's fault. Everything's the lineman's fault already. So when you see the quarterbacks who's constantly yelling at his lineman, fussing at him, I can tell the linemen don't like those guys. But the guys who get respect, who the guy stands in the pocket, takes a beating, and stands up for the lineman and say, "Man, that sack was on me," because the whole world want to say it's the lineman's fault. We love the quarterback, but I've seen Joe take responsibility of sacks. I've seen him get his head beat in, never gets up pouting, never gets up showing his line up, because all it takes is one time for him to get up and throw the ball to the ground and curse the lineman out for the entire stadium to hate every lineman on the damn field. Mm-hmm. And I said, "Joe, I appreciate you, bro, for not doing that and having the character to where these guys want to step and fight for you." He said, "Man, I know it. That's the reason I do it, because I got my guys back, and I want those guys to have my back." So for him to acknowledge that and to know that and to be aware of that, to me, is a quarterback's biggest trait, because those 5 guys have to bust their ass to protect you. You know what I mean? And I've seen guys not like guys, and guys give sacks up. My shoulder's hurting. I've seen the guys tap out on guys, but when the guy is loved by the guys, you're gonna play hurt, extra effort, give your body up for them. You know what I mean? And I've seen that with guys like with us with Carson, with us with John Kitna, and I see that right now with these guys right now. Joe's inspiring these guys, and because when your line plays inspired and your line knows that I got Joe Burrow back here, if I can give him 3 seconds, we're going to win this damn game, because the plays he's going to make in 3.5 seconds is going to be tremendous. So he gives guys confidence just by being there.
Willie Anderson is our guest. Yeah, I as you were describing that, a couple of things came to mind. One, Joe Burrow, obviously his dad, Jimmy, was a college football coach. His older brothers played on the defensive side of the ball. I think he may just understand the team element better than anybody, because I don't think I think I would lose my composure. I think most guys would with the 2021 season and how many hits he was taking in a pass first offense. I mean, he got sacked 9 times against Tennessee in the playoffs.
And just kept plugging it. And that's kind of mentality. But I think Joe will tell you too, it's been said too. I think it's been said from Zach, it's been said by Joe. Sometimes the sacks are on him. You know what I mean? But then sometimes they're on the line. So it's kind of an even deal. But I think just at sometimes, when it does break down, he's had the right to kind of go crazy. And I've never seen him do it. I've seen him be frustrated, but I've never seen him show his guys up. And I've seen some of the quarterbacks, I've seen the QBs in the league take a beating and show their guys up, and they continue taking a beating. You know what I mean? But sometimes it's talent, sometimes just guys are better. But I think when your QB at that position, when he understands that team aspect and how hard and how much trash the linemen already get, if he can just mention our names and build, because linemen watch the linemen, best believe they watch those interviews, And
Sure.
they see the guys who always said, me, I did this, I did this, I did this. They see that. But they also see the guys who are constantly saying, hey, man, this win is brought today by the O-line. The O-line did their job today. The O-line gave us a running game. The O-line gave us some time at critical points. And to me, that's one of Joe's biggest character traits to me that he has, because he can inspire all those guys together. And you can see it turns out into wins.
Willie, I don't think you were ever in a position to get replaced for obvious reasons. You were dominant.
Oh, yes, I was.
Were you?
The Bengals franchise my backup my last year. I knew it was Stacey Andrews.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, at the end.
Everyone gets replaced, bro. Like, everyone gets replaced.
That didn't work for them in 2008. That was a rough year for the Bengals. But okay, so you might be able to relate to this a little bit, because Jonah Williams, as you were describing, offensive lineman in the heat they take.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand it. He was the 11th pick, and he's dealt with injuries. He was hurt his rookie year. He got hurt at the end of 2020, his second season. But I thought he was pretty good in 2021. No one was really talking about him as a liability last offseason. No. And he plays through that dislocated kneecap for a lot of the year this year. Leads the league in sacks, according to PFF, 12 sacks. Every fan on the planet will remind you of that. Mm-hmm. And then he gets replaced. And I get it, by the way. I would have signed Orlando Brown too if I was the Bengals. So I get the signing. I also, from Jonah's perspective, look at it, and contract year, you get demoted essentially to a different spot, and you're coming off of an injury. You're hoping to have the best year of your career. I get why he's a little frazzled. I don't necessarily think his agent should have went public with the trade request, but I understand. Like, I can see part of it from his perspective, and I'm not ready to bury him yet. Like, I think he could still be a good lineman and help the Bengals win this season. Is that crazy, or does that make sense? Because I try to put myself in Jonah's shoes, and obviously I never played line. I never played football at anywhere near this type of level, but that would be a gut punch if at 10:30 Eastern time I found out in the middle of March that Orlando Brown Jr. was coming to replace me.
Yeah, I mean, it's a natural thing. Like, we all have self-pride first as players. You know what I mean? I did get replaced. I did, hear about, during the off season, going to that 2008 season, I think, 2007 season, that my backup Stacey Andrews was getting franchised. And going into my last season, that training camp, they told me I wasn't going to be a starter. And I was like, wow, like, what? Like I left OTAs and went home. Like, I didn't come back to workouts. Like, I was like, devastated, because, like, hold on, man, all these years of me playing hurt and being in the trenches and these losing seasons we had, I never tapped out. I stayed playing my tail off. Like, I'm gonna get treated like this. Like, okay, so, but it's business, man. It's business, and it's a cruel business. And as a player, you learn that. And sometimes fans don't get it, because the fans are not sometimes inside of the buildings and are privy to the conversations. And you know what I mean? And if we had social media when I got cut, I probably made a big fit. Like, what, me? You about to cut me? Like, after what I've done, like, the loyalty, I thought I'd stay here. But it is what it is, man. But I think self-pride is the first thing that guys have. But I'll tell Jonah this, wherever you at, let's just regroup. Let's regroup. Like I said, I train linemen now for, this is my business. I started this business, you know what I mean? And I love the business. And one of the biggest things we do is I try to help change linemen's mindsets. And the biggest thing right now for him is to not let any of this stuff right now, wherever you play at, you want to be a starter and go out there and get a chance to redeem yourself. Because the NFL now is about, you play right now, hey, man, teams need linemen. This is a passing league. It's all about these quarterbacks and these freaking monsters they have trying to kill them. So everyone is trying to find bodyguards and find protectors. If you can get on that field and show that you can do that, there are people who want to pay you a lot of money. And so I won't let the business part get me down too much. Wherever you're at, you want to be starting. And I think, like I say, I think fans have to understand that guys have self-pride. I know Jonah, like I say, playing through injuries and no one ever gives linemen credit for playing through injuries. Like, I played through 1,000 injuries. Like, no one cares. They don't care if your big toe is this big and swollen in your shoe and you can't move and you're facing a freaking monster like Myles Garrett. Like, people with linemen, I say all the time, like, if you put, I'm not gonna say me because I always use me in the analogy when I tell the story, but I'm gonna say today's guys. If you put Jonas and the Bengals linemen in foot races and say, okay, fans, everybody, media, you're gonna bet all your money on who's gonna win this race. You got Myles Garrett, Jonah Williams, you got the rest of the Bengals line, Lyle Collins versus TJ Watts. They're gonna run races, like win a race. Everyone would bet 10 out of 10, 100 out of 100 that the O-lineman would lose every foot race against those guys. But when you turn it around and say, hey, we're gonna pass the ball 40 times. If you get beat one time, you're terrible.
Yeah.
like that's the life of a lineman, bro. You know what I mean? So no one cares if he got a knee, the knee injury, but we as former linemen, we know how hard it is to play with anything wrong with your kneecap. It's unbelievable. You know what I mean? So I understand it. It's a business, man. I hope people understand it with him. I think wherever he's at, I hope his mindset is ready to come in and show he's ready to play wherever it is. If it's left, right, for the Bengals, not with the Bengals, whoever. But I think don't allow the business part to sour you professionally doing your job. It's my advice. So.
Yeah, I think he'll likely be here, and I think we will see him for mandatory minicamp because, well, his contract is there, and you're not going to want to miss out and get fined money-wise, as you know. That's not ideal.
Exactly.
Last question here for you, Willie. The Bengals Ring of Honor voting was officially became underway this week. It lasts until June 9th. You were inducted last year. I can read the nominees for you if you want. There's 13 nominees, but who do you think should get in this year? It's tough because I think all 13 should be in.
All 13 should be.
And some should have went in when you were still playing because they played in the 70s and 80s. Yeah, and so we're playing catch up. But if you had to pick two, could you? And if so, who?
I could not pick two. I've been one of the ones that saying that it should be 8 a year until we catch up.
Catch up. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because, like you said, those guys should have been in 30 years ago, bro. Like, I should have seen guys when I was playing for the Bengals looking up and saying, "Oh, who is that guy right there? Who is that guy?" You know what I mean? But we never had that, and I'm so happy they're doing it now. Elizabeth is leading a great charge. The whole week is a great event they do, and the best part of the event to me is the Legends Dinner the night before the game, where all the players come back. We need more players coming back, man. Like when Isaac Curtis and I went in last year, Isaac had a lot more guys at on the stage with him at his storytelling time than I did. A lot of guys my era hadn't been back in a long time, and they're still trying to find guys' numbers and emails and getting guys back. But I tell guys all the time, this kind of a new Bengals. It's a new way of doing things. It's new people leading the charge, new fresh ideas with Elizabeth and Katie, the things they're doing. So, but as far as guys going in, so many guys, man. It's hard, man. Like, I even felt last year. I tell you the story. I felt last year. It was almost I felt like a survivor's remorse last year at the gathering because there were so many guys I looked up to as a young player. I tell Reggie Williams all the time. I said, man, I thought in 1988 I was in Mobile, Alabama, and we got a lot of Bengal games down there for some reason. I was a big Bengals fan in '88 Super Bowl year. I thought Reggie Williams was the freaking mayor of Cincinnati because every time I was seeing him, he would be in the suit outside of downtown Cincinnati. But what I found out was I was a kid. He was protesting for the strike years, 87, 86, 87, 88. So, but I would always see him in suits and ties. But he was a city councilman, right? So, as a kid, I said, that guy's the mayor of Cincinnati, and he's playing football. So, guys like that with him, but also, I played with a guy like Corey Dillon who did so much for this organization. To me, is one of the all-time great running backs in NFL history. If you ask me, you got him, man. You got Ocho. You got But you guys I got Tim Crumrock, guys I knew in '88 Super Bowl year. So it's a hard thing for me. I was even one of the guys last year on Twitter saying, don't vote for guys my era so soon, because there were so many guys before us that paved the way for us to be here that I thought should be here a long time ago. And I really wish the vote would be more than just 2 guys, because it's a hard deal, man. It's a hard deal. Like I said, I felt survivor's guilt up there with Isaac Curtis last year. Like, I shouldn't be with Isaac Curtis. Like, Isaac Curtis should be with some guys in this era, and they should have been in years ago. So it's a hard thing for me, but it also, for the guys that go in, it's a great experience, man. Our fans are so great. I think our fans are the ones that kind of help push this along. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I'm pushing more of my guys to start coming back from my era, because guys kind of had a bad taste and they left. But I think the Bengals are really doing a good job of trying to turn that around. I think the more they can keep doing, the more they can keep reaching out, bringing guys back for these kind of ceremonies to be a great thing for us, because we are behind.
It's tough. You're right, because I look, and I'm just looking at the 13 now. Like Jim Breach, James Brooks, Tim Crumry, like you mentioned, Bob Trumpy, Reggie Williams. They should have already been in.
Trumpy he's a legend, bro. Yeah, he's a legend. I know it. It should be like right now. It should be like those guys just, you know.
Lamar Parrish, I didn't mention him. Another
Lamar
one.
Parrish.
And so should it be age based or should it be accolades? Because I'll be honest, I don't want to compare Corey Dillon and James Brooks necessarily, because Brooks should have gotten in when Corey was still playing.
That's why I want to have a conversation with the Bengals. Like, yo, man, like, y'all can stop this. Like, let's just stop this, because it gets too personal. Like, it gets too personal. Like, no one wants to compare James Brooks and Corey against each other. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and like I said, no one wants to compare those guys and say who should be in more. Because also, too, you run the risk of today's fans. Like, I have no idea who the ticket base holders are. I don't know if it's an older crowd or newer crowd. But a lot of people didn't see some of the guys play, but some of the guys saw them play. And like I said, I wish the Bengals would just stop this. And hey, man, come on, let's just, because it gets too hard and too personal. We're at a real fragile time right now as an organization. We're trying to get guys into the Hall of Fame. So happy that Kenny Riley's going in. I think we should honor as many of our guys as we should. I mean, because Corey Dillon should be getting national recognition for Hall of Fame votes. You know what I mean? But at the same time,
he's not even mentioned.
Not even mentioned. You know what I mean? Not even mentioned. So, but at the same time, in our world, in the Bengals world, we've had some great running backs like James Brooks before him that should get honored as well too. So I think it should be. I wish it should be just a group of guys, 8 guys, man, until we kind of catch up. But the sentiment, I will say this right here. The sentiment was, they say, well, if it's 8, those 8 guys wouldn't feel as prestige as the 2 guys going in a year. And I say they would. They would. I mean, 8 going in the Ring of Honor is still a Ring of Honor. You know what I mean? And it's a real big deal. I mean, and I had tears in my eyes last year when I went through it. As I saw my name come down, and I wish all those guys before me should have felt that feeling. So,
yeah, I certainly hope they do. I'm glad it's I'm glad we have a Ring of Honor, because a few years ago, I did this is what the Ring of Honor would look like. Who should get in? Obviously, you were on the list, but I think there was 16 or 17 names, and so we're at 6. Plenty of people that players, former legends that should get in. Yeah, for example, I didn't want to talk about you versus Chad last year. And I'm not I don't vote, obviously, but I still give my opinion. I don't want to do that, because it's easy if it's just you two looking at it and going that way. And you guys would have been in, heck, 5, 6, 7 years ago had it already been a part of the Bengals Ring of Honor. But he is Willie Anderson, and he's coming to town next week. Lakota East High School, May 30th and 31st, Tuesday, Wednesday, 4:30 to 8 p.m. It's offensive line training. And like I said, I'm going to put a link out on all of our social channels. I'm sure there's one at Big Willie 7179 on Twitter as well. Yes. Is there anything I missed, Willie? Because I want to make sure any lineman in town gets to your camp here.
That's it, man. Also, I'm gonna give your listeners a promo code for a big discount off. The promo code is promo. So if you go to eventbrite.com and go to the camp, put in promo, it's a huge discount. Like I said, it's a 2-day camp. Like I said, it's not your regular camp. I know people may say, "Hey, he's charging for a camp," but it is a working camp. It's a working camp, and we're going to try to give you way more information and way more time what you pay for. Like if guys come to my training sessions are 2 hours. Like I don't believe you can get a player better within 45 minutes. So when guys pay to train with me, they know they're getting 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours. So when you leave from me, parents always say he gave more to us than what we bargained for. And to me, that's one of the biggest things I can do is to give more time. If because I was a parent before, and my son only made it to college through having really good trainers around him, good coaches, people who loved him, people who would take their time with him because he wasn't a 5-star athlete. He was one of the guys that came in later on, but because he had good people around him, and I put him around good people, he made it to college and got a college scholarship. So that's one of the things I want to do with this camp and these camps around the country, because we go around the country and do these lineman camps.
There is a link as well, and like Willie said, use promo code PROMO, which is easy to remember. I love it. There is a link at the top of his Twitter page. It's a pinned tweet at BigWillie7179. Willie, I appreciate the time. I know you're really busy. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you. And who that?